Hey, it's Bruce again with WeedersDigest.com, and today we're having a little strategy session here with one of our good partners, John Tucci. John,
hey,
very
Bruce,
nice to meet you.
Good to see you. Great
Thanks
to
for
be
coming
here.
to join us today. And as most of you know, Weeders Digest, we've focused with a lot of you on helping you out along your shoreline or on your dock or small pond or those type of things. But today we're talking about really a whole lake strategy, and really one that's very innovative and one that we're really excited to bring to you. So I think there's no better place than John. Jump in, tell us,
Bruce.
tell me, tell them
Sounds
a little
good.
bit about your story.
Some might even say the approach we're going to talk about today is a little bit out there, but a little bit about my story. I started out years ago just as a lake property owner who saw his shorefront go from a nice sandy gravel bottom over about a 5-year period turn into about a foot and a half of black mucky goo. And started
It sounds like most of our customers, really.
exactly. Well, and I tried to solve that problem out in front of my shoreline and had some success with that, but it really got me asking the deeper questions about what's going on in my whole lake that's causing this to happen.
Right.
And at the same time, we had spent 5 years on a very, for all intents and purposes, a very effective chemical treatment program to address a milfoil problem we had on the lake. But while we were addressing that one problem, we started having these other lake-wide problems crop up. Other weed species really getting aggressive, this muck accumulation, not just in my shorefront, but in many areas around the lake. And that really sparked my interest in going deeper to try and find other strategies out there that could deliver, solve our immediate problems, but more importantly, deliver a health benefit, improve the overall health of the lake rapidly enough to make a difference and get rid of a lot of this muck and get rid of a lot of the excess weeds that we have.
So you got to that point where you really were able to pretty much identify the problem, couldn't find any answers. You knew the problem, you couldn't find answers. That's where the story really gets exciting. Tell us what happens next.
Well, it took me a while, but I had to go back to school, and I had to really learn how lakes worked and what were the root causes of the problems that were driving us all crazy as lake homeowners.
Right.
And those problems being excess weeds, excess algae, and too much muck accumulating around the shore and in the lake in general. And what I found out is that, at the heart of it, obviously, and we kind of all know this, our lakes are overfed. They're getting too many nutrients there, which allows too much plant material, weeds and algae, to grow in the lake. And it turns out that that sets up a very destructive cycle in the lake, where you get more weeds and algae than the lake is designed to handle, and as these weeds die on their own or are taken care of with herbicides, they go to the bottom, they start to decompose, and they start to consume all the oxygen at the bottom of the lake. And that really is the event that starts to turn a lake from a lake that's in balance and healthy to a lake that now is going to struggle and continually fight these excessive weeds and weed and algae problems.
Right. Now, up to that point, if somebody's trying to deal with this on an individual basis, that's where Weeders Digest has been real beneficial. But to take that exact scenario of the decomposing and turn it into not only just I'm trying to take care of my shoreline, but I'm going to take care of a whole lake or a whole pond or whatever the case might be, that's really the solution that you've brought to us that we're now partnering in.
Right. And to be quite straightforward about it, the problem is that we're building compost piles of nutrients on the bottom of our lake. And we got to figure out a way to get rid of those compost piles. Now, you obviously can dredge it out, but that's real expensive and can be a bear to get permits for, and is unrealistic on a large-scale basis on a lake. But it turns out that Mother Nature has its own answer to this problem. It's just not fast enough.
So we don't need you, we just need Mother Nature?
Well, Mother Nature with a little bit of help. But it turns out that the help that we need to provide our lakes is we need to turbocharge its natural cleaning cycle. We need to get more oxygen into the system continuously, ideally 24/7, 365 days a year. That's just a fact. That's how lakes are designed to work. Dissolved oxygen is the key to lake health and a lake that's in a healthy, balanced state. So once I discovered that through my research, the answer became pretty obvious in theory, which was we need to find a way to aerate or increase the oxygen level in our lake so that by getting more oxygen throughout the water we can accelerate the natural biological action in the lake that actually consumes dead plant material and clean the lake through the food chain, essentially.
Now, what's interesting is that the technology in general has been around for a while. The difference, what you've brought, what I've seen, is, again, going back to the word whole lake, and lake, not just backyard pond, right?
Right.
I mean,
we're talking lakes anywhere from 50 acres to 200 acres to 500 acres.
Right, right.
That was the challenge I set out to try and solve is, can you take this very simple concept that works in a fish tank, aeration, and apply it on a whole lake basis? And there's really two barriers that you need to overcome. One is you need the engineering expertise and equipment durability to allow this mechanical system or this kind of a system to succeed in a lake environment, a whole lake environment. And second, you need to figure out a way to make it financially feasible for lakes to manage this kind of an undertaking.
Gotcha. And I think that's really one of the things that if you'd like to contact us and either speak with either myself or John, contact us at WeedersDigest.com. We'll talk about that, because that really is those last 2 points that you have brought to the table, is both the technical side, the engineering, but also the feasibility of how to really finance a package like that when you're talking about a large lake. Anybody can do a backyard pond. It's not, well, there is still technology involved, but from an expense standpoint. But really what John brings to us is the opportunity to work on a whole lake basis, really truly on a national or even on a world basis. You've got experience throughout the far beyond North America. And I think that's what we'd like to encourage people to give us a call. It's not something we can just do right here on camera with you, but we'd be more than happy to do it over the phone. So
I think it is important to wrap up, Bruce, by saying that in many cases we can get, on an annual basis, we can get the cost of this more natural, more sustainable approach to whole lake improvement on a par with what a typical herbicide and harvesting type strategy would cost on a lake of a given size. Right.
And I think one thing that we don't have time to cover today, but is the whole herbicides. That's a whole nother impact here of the positives that this strategy has over that. And I think that's probably, well, that's for another segment.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thanks, Bruce.
All right. Thank you.